So long as the audience thinks that seeing is believing, there's no limit to the number of tricks I can pull off.
Bonsoir.
This is no time for distractions. Seriously, you have a great magician standing right here. You don't want to miss the best part, do you?
Voilà, merci pour ton intervention, Linney. Voilà, donc voilà, on se retrouve pour un live encore une fois. Donc on va continuer la quête d'Archon qu'on a continué ce matin du coup. Donc petit récapitulatif de ce qui s'est passé ce matin. Alors nous avons eu un spectacle de magie de Linney et Lunette. Sauf que le spectacle s'est mal passé. Voilà, il y a pendant le spectacle de magie, il y a une dame qui a disparu, qui s'est fait enlever, et puis un monsieur qui s'est fait écraser par une boîte, donc il est mort. Et du coup, c'est Linney et Linette qui sont retenus coupables. Donc on enquête pour savoir, on a enquêté pour savoir qui était le vrai coupable, et on n'a trouvé aucun indice. Voilà, tous les indices étaient contre Linney et Linette. Donc c'est l'heure du procès, donc on va aller voir tout simplement. C'est parti. Ah oui, et puis Furina, là, l'Archon Hydro, tête à claque. Voilà. elle est pas très juste, hein. Genre elle cherche même pas d'avoir de preuves qu'elle était déjà en train d'accuser. Donc voilà. Donc heureusement que c'est pas elle la juge, parce que ce serait un peu... Voilà. Ce serait pas fou. Et Paimon a acheté des lunettes pour faire la détective.
Understands any more about what happened than we do. Thanks, Navia. Well, best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
Pas grand-chose.
You might be disappointed. No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help. Well now, don't you all look disappointed? Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed. That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their innocence.
J'ai envie de la frapper, elle. Pas possible.
But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe...
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items...
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina.
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open.
Ah oui, elle est cash, elle.
Is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might leave an impression of any kind?
No, nothing.
Ah, il se défend bien, il se défend bien.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe
Huh?
Hey, hang on! Something's not right here.
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I definitely heard the thud.
Ouf.
Look at those scales. Could those be...
Salut Océane. Ah, tu arrives au bon moment, t'arrives pendant un procès.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never
Super.
know what can happen. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock. Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
Là, t'es encore sur un autre compte. Bah, ça va, t'es modo aussi sur celui-là. Tu sais plus c'est lequel le bon.
The House of the Hearth?
Des fatouilles, quoi.
No
Font partie des
wonder
fatouilles.
he did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatsui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an act.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script of... The operator is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off. Hey, Linny! Why didn't you tell us this before?
Ils font partie des fatouilles.
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to re-establish the facts. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true?
Ouais, est-ce que Linné nous aurait menti?
Please answer my question, Mr. Linney.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary? They're already as good as guilty.
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will reconvene in 1 hour.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? You certainly have more professionalism. In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a little
C'est pas
while
possible,
longer.
mais donnez-lui 2 baffes à celle-là. Elle descend de son piédestal là.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would take. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, sorry. Paimon doesn't know where to start. We trusted you two. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad.
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry, and reasonably so, but I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word is enough to make you upset, but our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities and goals.
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details since the truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, you met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal.
Sorry. Please forgive us. Well, you both say that, but... Right. Let's hear your answer first, and no lies now!
Of course. I'll answer any question. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite certain that I was that voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to get... After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. I swear, I didn't hide anything
donc
from
ils ont
you this
rejoint
time.
les Fatui pour sauver Fontaine, pour éviter que l'eau ne monte et noie tout le monde. Ok,
It
ok.
was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But, like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui, there's nothing I can...
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance. The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense. Huh?
Lina et Feng qui s'est dirigée vers la salle contenant le noyau de l'oratrice après être rentrée dans le tunnel, et donc il n'a pas été témoin du crime. Il a entendu un bruit sourd. Il y avait une voix dans la salle, ouais. Est-ce que la voix, ce ne serait pas genre Alerkino, parce que elle a reconnu l'INEM, apparemment. Je sais pas. Ou est-ce que c'est juste
Both parties have
l'Archon
returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue.
That took long enough. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective.
Hein? En vous basant sur le récit des événements du camp opposé, vous trouvez les parties de leur déclaration qui ne tiennent pas la route. Utilisez les preuves et les indices que vous avez obtenus au cours de votre enquête sur l'incident pour réfuter toute série d'événements qui n'auraient pas de sens et les remplacer par de nouvelles déductions. Et c'est Professeur Layton en fait le jeu là, c'est... Utilisez vos réfutations pour convaincre le public et obtenir le soutien de la population. Votre atelier affichera clairement ces changements. Lorsque vous trouverez réfuté tout le contenu incorrect, vous pouvez terminer le cycle de réfutation et dévoiler la vérité.
Entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that the sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her.
Il est un peu gros le vase quand même pour assommer quelqu'un avec.
At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linney red-handed. So Linney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that. Afterward, Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled. And there you have it. That's...
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events, what Linney experienced.
Il est allé dans le tunnel. Ça c'est bien. Attaquer. Non, pour le bruit source, c'est plutôt là. Celui-là peut-être. Ouais, ça c'est pour le bruit, donc c'est celui-là je pense.
According to Linney, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
Ok. Il a trouvé un tunnel. Ici. Et il l'a assommé avec le vase, ça m'étonnerait. Pourquoi il y a des vêtements par terre? Non, pas les vêtements. Non plus.
Linney went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This...
Ah oui, donc il a pu l'enlever. Il a pas pu l'assommer parce qu'il est rentré dans la salle. Ok. C'est... Ensuite lui. Pourquoi il n'a pas pu assommer Cowell?
This won't produce a particularly...
Non plus. C'est lequel? C'est ça? Et bah ça on peut pas le changer. Je comprends pas. Vêtements.
He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Attention! Is Detective Paimon
Détective
had said that
Paimon.
when the countdown started, Lenny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where, once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since the crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened.
Et ouais. Voilà, c'est tout. C'est tout ce qu'on a à dire.
Paimon did it! Paimon...
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill?
C'est vrai ça? C'est vrai, c'est vrai. C'est des sabotés à l'avance.
Assuming that what you say is true, Lenny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on...
Oh, they have a point.
C'est vrai ça? Il voulait juste l'enlever. Donc pourquoi est-ce qu'il est mort l'autre?
That's why they're partners of mine.
Well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have? Of course I do. If he had been in the magic... You're saying that he wasn't.
That's right! Lenny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything. This means that when the crime happened, Lenny had already... The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like...
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lenny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Utilisez Nicole en forme d'engrenage dans le menu pour les questions. Sélectionnez les réponses, remplissez tous les engrenages vides pour vérifier l'exactitude de votre déduction. En cas d'erreur, vous devez faire une autre sélection parmi les options. Une fois que vous avez répondu correctement à toutes les questions, vous pourrez compléter la chaîne logique. Que les feux d'artifice tirés vers la fin du spectacle se sont enflammés et ont brûlé les corps suspendus le réservoir d'eau au-dessus de la scène. Cela fait tomber le réservoir de chez Cowell dans la botte en dessous. Si un des suspectés sur les autres membres de la troupe aurait pu trafiquer les accessoires et donner un compte rendu détaillé de la façon dont le tout est censé fonctionner. Alors, je dis considérable. Il doit occuper le public avec l'aide de son assistant. Le manteau appartenant à Halsey, la dame qui a disparu a été retrouvée dans le tunnel. La raison reste inconnue. Mais pourquoi il y a son habit?
Could there have been a third person involved? The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member.
Ce serait possible que ce soit elle qui l'aurait tué.
The deceased's name is
Et
Cowell.
en fait elle aurait pas disparu mais ce serait volatilisé. Non c'est pas ça, c'est pas elle. Oh dommage. Lui.
The deceased's name is Cowell.
Donc c'est lui qui l'a enlevé mais il est mort. Ça n'a pas de sens.
must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to...
Ah, il voulait tuer la dame. Comment a-t-on pu prédire que l'inné serait incapable d'interférer avec le crime?
The sound we heard may have come.
Ça.
No one entered or left. It would have been tough for both.
Ça. On prouvait qu'il y a eu une intercation dans le tunnel.
No one entered or left. The sound we heard may have come. Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal.
Qui est actuellement le principal suspect? Bah, c'est lui.
His name is Cowell.
Où est passé Ashley?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances.
Incorrect. Ok, donc les trois là-bas ils sont incorrects.
No one entered or left. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey. Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment.
Oui, qu'il y ait une intercation dans le tunnel.
It would have been tough for both people.
On va passer Ashley.
The sound we heard may have come. Halsey's clothing was in the.
Ok, il y a un avis de faux maintenant.
Halsey's clothing was in the. It would have been tough for both. The sound we heard may have. It would have been tough for both.
Encore les deux là qui sont faux.
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between them. The sound we heard may have. No one entered or.
Bah, c'est quoi la vérité alors? On a un problème là.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Mais on sait pas où elle est passée.
Nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that one.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents. But do you not see that the crowd...
Elle est sortie par l'eau, du coup.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between them. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant.
Où est passé
No one
Ashley?
entered or... The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water.
Oh, Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of... Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes... If there's a similar method where...
Oh, just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick. Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend, magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real.
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their...
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the...
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea. The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of... As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. People can become water. Does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was... Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your part?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to... Guards, please continue examining the... Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water...
Qui est actuellement le principal suspect? Bah toujours lui. Quel objet le coupable utilisé pour contrôler le moment de la dissolution? Je dirais ça. Ah bah non, du coup c'est ça. Du coup l'objet ce serait ça.
Lynette was in the magic box on... I remember there was something... Lynette was in the magic box.
Ah, le dernier.
I remember there was something...
Ok.
When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would... Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I...
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cowell's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to...
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal...
What?
Hein?
That can't be. Does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience. Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene, having made modifications to the props beforehand. His accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vanish, using the water from the primordial. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed... Am I right?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the road?
Non, ce n'est pas la fin. On peut trouver une faille.
Oh no. I can't think of anything either. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen?
I think we've all seen enough now. And we have ample witnesses to my flawless. I believe this is indeed the finale. Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice.
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout, and to...
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth, but once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Lenny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula, but as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should...
I understand.
Pourquoi elle fait ça?
And voila.
Et voilà.
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So, the whole thing about people dissolving...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my... I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me, and then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry.
C'est qui a tué?
I'm the one who killed Cowl. I admit.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Lenny was the one who caught me in the
Ah,
act.
c'était elle la voleuse.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
Donc c'était bien Coel qui voulait faire son expérience. Et donc il voulait quand même faire tomber ce truc, sauf que ça s'est retourné contre lui du coup.
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Lily-Ann's perspective.
Bah, du coup non, elle s'est pas dissoute. Bon, maintenant faut trouver le bon. Donc le bruit étrange, c'était elle qui le jette dedans en fait. Bah, c'était leur combat en fait. Ok.
The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but it was smashed during the struggle. Seems this... Lily-Ann was afraid that she would be...
Change de tenue, voilà.
And it's Space Detective time on top! Having been selected out of the blue, Lily-Ann panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open. Purdue, hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lily-Ann had not... He did not know that Lily-Ann was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way, mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lily-Ann came out on top. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk.
Voilà. Elle a que de rebondissements.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped two of them right under our...
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to...
Ah, so that's the whole story. Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceeding...
What? Are you reading my mind now? No. I have no further arguments.
Wow! Look at that! She's like a deflated balloon.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall... The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman... To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop. And he poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box, and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to... When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lily-Ann was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lily-Ann. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box. and thus became his own final. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the... From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused, is in fact... While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision.
Verdict, attention.
As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared...
Ah, salut Tom, comment tu vas? Comment ça va?
Great work, partners. Thank you all.
Voilà, on a gagné.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation.
Bah ça va, moi ça va.
How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not?
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yes?
Alors, désolé Tom, mais ce soir je ne fais aucun boss, pas d'explo, rien, je fais que la quête d'Archon. Donc désolé, mais du coup, je peux pas le faire ça ce soir. Voilà, voilà. Désolé.
I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best opportunity to do so.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and...
Yes! I'll tell you everything. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent more off it. The disappearance...
Bonjour.
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness.
An outrageous act. All
Bah,
present,
il est mort du coup.
please submit to inspection immediately.
Je vais quand même pas refaire un procès.
So, we're just going back now? That's true.
Traveler, Paimon, please wait.
Mais qui c'est ce fameux Fatui?
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me. But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui. I guess. But regardless, I'd like the opportunity to set things straight. I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself. Just as for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That's all. That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
Alertino, c'est son père du coup. Mais c'est pas une femme.
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering.
Oui, on va bien écouter ton histoire.
Back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering the streets. survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. It took me several days to figure out how he pulled. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform magic tricks there. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first, too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful days. But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent. He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the streets at any rate.
It took a while for me to realize just how, after one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who your
Ils sont
assistant
horribles,
is,
ces
yes?
gens.
Oh no. But wouldn't Fontaine...
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person, and hurried through the night. All I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood, and the nave standing there in the darkness.
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans. Father, I mean, the knave, might have seen something. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever... I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been betrayed by nobles. But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis' power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy.
Oui, sauf que la Tsarine, elle est morte.
So, she believes in that prophecy too?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis.
Ah, donc pour une fois, les Fatui sont pour le bien, en gros. Ils veulent éviter la prophétie.
Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophecy.
D'accord, donc en fait, du coup, pour éviter cette prophétie, elle veut voler le Gnosis Hydro de l'Archon.
All of us house
D'accord,
members
d'accord.
here, Lady Arlecchino herself included, are from Fontaine. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed...
It's alright, I understand. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the house, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe if you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you.
Bye, Linny!
Ok. Ben, nous avons terminé le procès.
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been... And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should...
Ah, I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear. Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Aw, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and the reflection in the murk to become clear. Sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Don't mind me. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners.
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no regrets later. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navia's treating, count Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful! In that case, why don't we return to the Court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Bourg? I believe we'll make it just...
Alright then, let's have our farewell meal!
Ok, l'acte 1 est terminé. Ok. C'est parti, on continue.
I came here several times with my father when I was little, but stopped eating here as often after growing.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while.
In that case, I'll go order for...
Ooh, everything looks so good.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of Spina di Rosula next time.
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone. Albeit with only one dish per table.
Yeah. Sure have your own... Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast.
Oh, true. Very true. In that case, boss?
Huh? Paimon didn't mean that you had to order even more food. Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get caught soon?
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young women, but we still don't know what they are really after.
Qui sont ces gens qui veulent dissoudre des gens dans de l'eau?
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have ever believed that.
Right? Yet it was because this was such a preposterous notion.
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking!
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like a yawning chasm. To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might conduct. It's not that I don't have faith in their ability. It's just that a different perspective is required. It's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective. A shift in thinking is which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exists. Those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist. To seep into the cracks where filth falls through. Where the...
Oui, c'est une société... C'est genre le FBI et tout ça. C'est un truc à part pour enquêter.
Well, this was supposed to be a... Let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
Oui, on va parler à l'Archon Hydro, nous, à la base.
I see. So, your primary objective, which has been foiled so far, I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll be waiting for quite a while, considering that you missed your chance.
Yeah, We've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine, and that it'll be tough getting any of her time.
Well, would you consider some more,
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you. Chock full of...
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance. I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish watching the play. Don't you?
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard to pull off.
Alright, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed.
Then
wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her go back to sleep until she answers all your questions. I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything as long...
That might work, but that's not really the problem. The problem is...
Ouais.
You don't...
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep. All right, no more joking around. Perhaps you did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations. False accusations she had nearly upheld
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Why don't we give it a try after this meal? You know, strike while the...
Huh? Paimon, did you...
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really...
No, it's fine. We're just...
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fonta anyway.
Is that so? Huh. Well, in that case, if we're all finished eating, then I'll go pay.
Yeah, we're stuffed. Thanks for the...
D'accord.
Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore.
Tu peux choisir de marcher. Ce serait trop normal.
Okay. As for expenses this month, we're left.
Hey, Navia! What are you doing over there?
Elle a des problèmes financiers.
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to try to meet the Hydro Archon again. Bye, Navia!
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, you're always welcome to contact this. In any case, I wish you smooth sailing.
See ya!
Alors que la bruine tombe sans raison. Alors.
People around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Araneas might have been the last one.
Vacher.
Mais qu'est-ce qui nous appelle Vacher toujours?
Looks like we're back here again. Huh? Traveler? That's kind of...
Vacher? Vacher.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? There might be something nasty in the water. Huh? Hang on. Paimon can kind of hear a voice. Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Hein?
Vacher, are you... my dear Vacher? No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you know Vacher? Do you know where my love is? Wait. My memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide. Never to be... How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten? Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I am but the I do not know how I came to be like this either.
I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water. And then all grew dim.
Bah oui, elle s'était fait dissoudre.
I also remember going to many places. No matter where I went, Vache would go with me. But now, we can no longer go back. The pain, no. Our reunion no longer has any meaning. The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie forgotten beneath the water. If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move on. Perhaps that is so. As I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness. If only I could have comforted him. Told him that I did not suffer. Is that what you call it? Dissolving. If anything, it was a state of neither fear nor frenzy, with only an endless peace. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for so long in a world of endless want and anxiety. I think I hear your companion. It's time for you to go, I think. Farewell, then. I am glad that you were able to sense my presence.
Oula. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Ah bah c'est la guerre. Je m'attendais pas à ça.
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Chlorand?
Quick, now's our chance!
C'était stylé quand même.
I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Chlorand. But before I do so, could you explain how you
I followed you.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually called stalking, is it not?
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his trust. He would do the same.
Do not speak of my father!
Sorry, Demoiselle. I was not...
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid...
Sorry, I did not consider...
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be in grave danger?
I doubt I know much more than you, but I believe that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances is very powerful. Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
Huh. I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked. And what about these Gardamex? I thought only those associated with the Maison Gardiennage could control them.
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used. I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not act rashly.
I will continue investigating no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. That's my father's true...
Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clarand. But if you get any ideas, tell me first.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you.
Right. I suppose that's the best news we've gotten today.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clarand was being sincere with you.
I know, she's...
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done for! Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved us! Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clarand who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. In truth, I hope that every meal we... As such, we're still partners. There's no need to thank me.
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di Rosso.
All right, you two.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger? You sure did show up in the nick of time.
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off, Paimon.
Huh? Really?
Yes. All thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
How did that help?
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said. That the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky? Fanta only comes in sweet flavors. So how could it have tasted salty?
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the primordial sea?
D'accord.
Yes. So if you hadn't drunk that cup...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we speak for saving the boss.
Ok, donc Paimon a sauvé la vie de Navia. Bah, pour une fois qu'elle sert à quelque chose.
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate. But whoever did this left no trace at all. That's when I figured out that you might be in danger, and hurried here as quickly as I could.
What? Why would they go after us too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name.
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the process. Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the...
Well, it can't be a coincidence that the Traveler fainted just now. Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too! But it was real faint. Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While you were out cold?
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh, that is important. Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene. But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Yes, thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to... Oh, you mean you'll help...
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosula.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? I'll arrange accommodations for you. We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as part...
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely...
Ok. Faut aller où? Faut retourner à Fontaine.
It's right up ahead, but let's
let's make sure.
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone.
Very good. But
I shall find rooms for our respected guests.
thank you, Malus. Now, let's continue, traveler.
C'est dans les égouts du coup leur base. Voilà. C'est stylé en tout cas. Pourquoi ils veulent faire tout le tour comme ça?
This is your base?
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can
Well, our funds have been, after all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support...
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people, that...
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge of...
Your father... He was the previous boss of Spina di Rosura.
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And, as partners, this is something I hope they can understand. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor, instead of standing trial. He died.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, but strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused to surrender. 3 years later, I still don't understand why he did that. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to the closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating this.
Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom.
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in, but I haven't found a single new clue in my countless reviews. However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me. And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful.
Demoiselle, please.
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder kit. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances at present.
Wait! If Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people. People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf. But they also enjoy watching good people fall.
But how could... really fun.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel. What?
Oh, her? Well, then, isn't that as... Yeah, that's not the sort of...
Miss Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but there was only ever one choice.
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just can't
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel.
Afterward, Miss Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she and yes, that is our understanding as well.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of... All right. Anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end. Thanks. You two should go and rest.
Yeah.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest.
Allez, allons dormir.
Paimon slept so well, huh? Navia?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for them to do here at the moment.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back, but never mind that. When did you get back?
No, I just returned after going out for a while.
Wait, so you didn't sleep?
How could I after having such critical new evidence appear?
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Elle aime bien résoudre des enquêtes, elle.
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But...
Does that mean we're too late, though?
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine, and that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where detailed file, if the Oceanette you met, is one of the young women who went missing recently. We should...
So Neuvillette maintains an archive of case files? In that case, let's go talk to him, shall... Aren't you coming along, Navi?
No, it's nothing.
Ah si, elle est un peu fatiguée. Mais je vois qu'on a beaucoup de succès avec cette histoire.
Palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Ok. C'est gigantesque. Ça fait très le QG des Fafonios, ça. Ça ressemble beaucoup.
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with... This place does look pretty heavily guarded.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell. If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago?
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's attorneys.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Thanks so much.
D'accord. Je suis pas sûr qu'on ait le droit de faire ça, mais on verra bien.
Please come in.
Bonjour. Bonjour monsieur.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Neuvillette.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
Elle est très gentille en tout cas, pas comme l'Archon.
We're looking for a man called Vache. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may...
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I...
Who knew that Neuvillette would be so easy to talk to?
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vache has been involved in any case. There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much, Monsieur Neuvillette. We'll take...
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional...
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette?
J'aime bien qu'on lui dise monsieur.
Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just express some tender... No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion. It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you... If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop to the duel? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die? Despised and hated by all. Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will...
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your... It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well... My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
En vrai, Navia, j'aime beaucoup son histoire.
Navia, are you...
I'm fine. Rain.
Un pays bleu.
It's raining.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today.
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder,
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait. You don't mean...
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water? And then got washed away with the rain? Yeah. And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if you...
I really think I found a true genius for... Alright, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to...
Yeah, we're gonna make progress!
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great, let's go then.
Allez, allons-y.
Whoa! What a huge
need to be so surprised. While it may look, my father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our tastes in exterior... A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live, but now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself...
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began after all.
En tout cas, c'est super beau. Bonjour monsieur.
Malus, we're back.
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so...
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see what? You still remember, right, Malus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call...
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity. At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Oui, de la drogue, quoi.
Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce...
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath. But no matter how much they threatened, not only that, the boss became determined to find the mastermind behind...
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers. All of recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal... The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. We planned to meet up and exchange information, but then we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father.
Huh? How did that happen?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious. But looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing.
Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some
Mais c'est vrai ça,
costumes that Jacques used to
la dame,
disguise himself at the banquet.
dans l'affaire Linney, la dame n'a pas été dissoute, donc à qui appartiennent ces vêtements? Voilà, je laisse ça là.
But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, you're right. We still don't know what happened. My intuition tells me that...
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his... I think this third person is probably the... On that note, however, even though this will not please, our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal. Even though Spina di Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new... There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both...
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have... Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the... What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that, ever. Not since that day, and so I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable.
So you do know something else, Malus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, boss already... But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle...
What?
Quoi?
Boss
Il voulait la faire disparaître elle aussi.
had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had... And the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety.
Ah, donc c'est pour ça qu'il a accepté le duel et de mourir parce que bah il était malade. Dans tous les cas, il allait mourir.
5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed, but as long as you remained safe, he would not share. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victim.
Right. So nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful.
So he chose to die in silence.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What if Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the... I'm sure he'd be extremely...
That fool. Couldn't he? No. He might have set up everything precisely because... Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this... Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with...
It's the location where Synth is produced. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specific... But if you want to use it against the enemy...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storm...
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what... But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine Authority?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
That's true. See, but things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with it.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets.
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, Then, after several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed this. The first is Florent, Spina de Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically.
I see. These to think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from...
Of course. And thank you.
You're too kind, my lady. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them...
Aw, thank you so much, Melus.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth.
Allez, une nouvelle enquête. Mince, c'est pas ça que je voulais faire.
It is settled then. Please.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Melus.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Oh.
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how—
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mora and support.
Aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain—
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you, because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation gift. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you. And to—
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but you don't— On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more—
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't—
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, he thought mora was— So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell to the two of us. I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion I eventually came to. Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still up. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if he did the right thing?
Papa always wanted to be a good man. So why did he have to do a bad thing in the end?
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like you're...
Yeah. Papa was a really good man.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword, he must have done so.
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth.
Thank you. I'm very grateful. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really...
You really think so? That's the first time...
Ok, donc apparemment ce serait Jacques qui aurait voulu tuer le père.
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florent should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city.
Allons voir Florent.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House. Someone got turned into water.
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure journalists will milk it for all it's worth. And it'll be all...
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened with my father, after my partner here put the dots together for me, I feel like we should try to reopen his case. Can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened that night?
Let me think. Mr. Callus was feeling pretty upbeat that day. So he was drinking and bantering away with us at the table. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him go without thinking much of it. Who knew that we would hear 2 gunshots ring out right after? My first reaction was that Mr. Callus's life was in danger.
Alors pourquoi s'il buvait un verre avec toi alors qu'il était censé rencontrer Jacques? Ça n'a pas de sens, monsieur.
It was already too late. Mr. Callus was standing over a dead body with a gun in his hands. All we could do was look back and forth.
So you also remember 2 gunshots then?
Indeed. The guards said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. Reason being, Mr. Callus had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running to the scene. But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had other guns on his person. About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned, do you think there was a 3rd person there?
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no reason. The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques, or a 3rd person on the...
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callus ended up with the gun because he seized it from one of... But hold on. If that's what had happened, then why didn't he... He didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine. Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve right in front of his eyes?
About that, Malus told me a thing or 2. So, I think I can understand what... I'll tell you everything, once the whole truth...
I understand. Then, And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callus the Unfaithful, many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callus. But it was Mr. Callus's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks, no matter what others might say. He'll always be the man I...
Don't worry. I will... You and all our other comrades at the Spina deserve to know...
Ok. Merci beaucoup, monsieur. Ça n'a pas trop de sens en vrai.
Hey, Thierry, it's me.
Allez, bonjour Thierry.
Oh, now, what brings you here, Miss Navia? I've heard that you made quite...
Oh, so you've caught news of that already.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the guards, you know.
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you have been called...
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Let's just say I enjoy the ambiance. Callus did a fantastic job running the town. Building Spina di Rasula from the ground up, and clearing. It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy but high-paying job in the city. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Are these two friends?
Yes. These two are my partners. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case and my father's may be related. We're trying to reinvestigate the details of my father's old case.
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that we know people can be dissolved into water, right? I was also flabbergasted when I first... If you want to go through the original files from your father's case, I can...
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually, I have another question. Do you have the authority to dispatch Gardamex?
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Poisson on my own. Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully get more evidence for your father's...
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered Gardamex in the city. So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do...
Then you think too highly of my abilities. Dispatching mecha is very different from controlling.
Eh ben, salut du coup.
If I had to make an analogy,
À plus.
when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but not to massage your shoulders or carry your... If you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. The same goes for me and my... Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex... So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private unit. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though...
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, thank you for... Jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with your... I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just come find me if you need any support.
Non, lui, à mon avis, c'est pas lui le coupable. Je reste toujours sur Florent. Florent, il est louche. Allons voir Marcel.
Hello. How may I help you?
I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let him know? You can just say...
Sure. I will let him know right away.
Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House. I'm sure you saw everything too.
Yes, I've never seen anything so strange.
Oh, you were at the Opera House?
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn into a... I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. Quite impressive. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf, I can already imagine everyone in Fontaine discussing your...
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of drunkard.
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as a nation.
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact that...
Yes, I was reminded of your father's case right away.
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but I can sense that the...
Oh, and what makes you say that?
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to... If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking...
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. Wasn't it you who protected us?
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callus sought so dearly will soon become a thing. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, if anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will you...
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But I don't intend to go into hiding. I'm going to strike. Do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up with me. The confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smoothly. Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself. We'll ask around some more. See if...
Sounds good. Just let me know if you have... All my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much...
Il nous a pas servi à grand chose, lui, donc.
We've talked to all 3 suspects, purely based on their conversations with me.
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single conversation's all that's needed to find them out, then my father... Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we were able to...
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Florent mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstance.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he... If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father.
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
That's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder. And once he...
So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to turn his back on the order and seek protection from my father. Makes sense. But without evidence, besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me quite a bit as well. It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the secret of the primordial...
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead to the end?
Given everything that's happened since... But who among the 3 suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex?
Bah, Marcel, il est riche.
Uncle Marcel? My father did really trust him. And with funds from the confrérie, he could also afford a large number of Still really hard for me to imagine, though. Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of mora and energy to fight his own synth business?
Quelqu'un de riche, donc pas Marcel. Thierry, c'est juste un gendarme, donc Florent.
Florent? It is true that he was closest to my father, but as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with personnel and security.
So you're saying he's too broke to afford a...
Exactly. He can't. And even if he could, I don't think he would be able to
Du coup, Thierry?
Thierry, you say? Huh. It is, but... I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha. I also don't think he'd be able to keep that kind of...
Ah, c'est compliqué, hein.
He actually tampered with the mecha. We'd be able to prove it with a simple... If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and...
Who could it be?
Allez, faisons notre enquête. Marcel.
You know, if you think everything through, Uncle Marcel isn't...
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing when he narrowed...
Malus has always been very reliable, and his judgment of others' trustworthiness has been fair and well considered. When he laid out his case for the 3, the suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs, has the means to dispatch Mecha to assassinate us. And even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could all tie.
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes, Malus did say that charging straight in there would be extremely risky. But we need far more solid proof before we can hope—
Navia, here you are. Oh, I've been looking for you.
Huh? Aren't you the guy from the
Yeah. News came from Arrhenius just after you left. We've got another trial.
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials?
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tartaglia.
What? Is that someone you know?
Et qu'est-ce qu'il a fait encore, lui?
We know him.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case.
Huh?
Wait, how? None of our investigations have had anything to do with—
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came to tell you the news right away. If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the guards to support any of our planned investigations.
Right, because they'll think they've already found the culprit.
Yeah, and it'll be a lot harder then to clear Mr. Callis.
I understand.
On y va?
Huh? Split up? What do you mean? Since this is a trial about the serial disappearances case, the culprit's attention will be focused on Arrhenius. You're right. This is our best opportunity. All right then, let's do this. I'll stall them at the Opera House and charge Marcel. I won't have any chance of making that charge stick though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be—
We'll help you, just like you helped us in Linny's trial.
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Ah, Malus, Silver. When did you two get here?
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson and figured that you might require— It's our hope that your confidence will be bolstered with a—
Thank you so much. Then, let's make haste for Arrhenius. Paimon, Traveler, I'll see you then!
Now that Navia has set out for Arrhenius, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over. Huh. According to Malus's info, the synth production base is underwater. Let's go and try to find the entrance. That leads to the synth production base. Ah, you're right. An important place like this is bound to have a ton. Navia's probably arguing up a storm.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe à l'opéra?
It would appear that I must repeat my question again, Mr. Tartaglia. Do you accept the charge that you are the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case?
To be perfectly honest, I don't understand your country's complicated court system, or the reason why I'm being charged with something I've never even heard of. However, I did hear that people who have been charged can choose to participate in a duel to clear their name, in which case, as long as I accept the charge, I can have an all-out fight with that champion duelist. I've got to admit, that's one of the most enticing offers I've ever received. When I privately sparred with her last time, she was obviously holding back.
Hey! Don't you understand? You're currently the prime suspect for a major case.
Oh? Sounds like the Hydro Archon wants to lecture me on the ways of the Opera House. Then why don't you duel me too? I'm the kind of student that learns best.
No. That's not what I meant.
Alas, it would appear that communication with the defendant is going poorly. In that case, let me explain everything from the very beginning again. The goal of this trial is to determine the culprit.
That case had nothing to do with him. You've got the wrong man. Huh? What's going on? Why is she interjecting again?
I told you it couldn't be one of the Fatui Harbingers.
Miss Navia, this is the second time you've interrupted the court proceedings. I only tolerated your behavior last time, but that was an exception rather than standard court protocol. I can very well charge you with contempt of court.
Oh, please. Did you ever think I had any respect? We can put that discussion aside for now. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to charge the true culprit behind the serial disappearance. And if my charges prove true, then Tartaglia here will be proven innocent by default.
Oh, a young lady has charged in and offered to clear my name. How fascinating. Well, I'd gotten half bored to death by all these. So, Your Honor, is there nothing else for me to do now?
You may take a seat for now in the audience, but that doesn't mean the suspicions against you have been lifted. Now then, Miss Navia, who is the person you would like to...
That person is... Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières. Huh? What Confrérie? Never...
I've heard of them, but weren't they Spina di Rosula's sister?
Oh, is this going to be a friends to enemies type situation?
Please let me remind you, Miss Navia, that charging someone is an incredibly serious matter. Committing, and if the charge fails, depending on the circumstances, you may also be charged with the crime of making...
Yes, I do.
In that case, I declare the charge to be valid. Miss Navia and attorneys, please take your... Members of the guards, please contact Mr. Marcel right away. Mr. Marcel, you will not require an attorney.
Apologies. It all just happened so quickly. I still haven't figured out what's going on. I think an attorney won't be necessary. This is probably just a misunderstanding between me and Navia.
Very well. In that case, since both sides have now arrived, Miss Navia, please present your...
I would like to take everyone back to 3 years ago, to the case of Callus the Unfaithful. Only through elucidating what really happened in that case can we connect all the dots for the serial disappearances case.
Navia, do you really think that I was the one who killed... Come on, why would I do that? Callus was my benefactor, and remember, both you and I only... If that's enough to make me a suspect, wouldn't that make everyone at that banquet a suspect?
I think there's no point in getting into the specifics right now. The audience doesn't even have the big picture yet. Even I'm...
Exactly correct, Your Honor. I must refresh everyone's memory about that case before I can explain my...
I see. In which case, I will recount the findings about that case as originally recorded by Maison Gardiennage.
Maison Gardiennage. Ça fait rire quand même.
On the day of the murder, Spina di Rosula hosted a large banquet in a countryside estate owned by the Confrérie. During the banquet, all attending guests heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. When the guests arrived at the scene, they found the primary suspect, Callus, holding a gun, while his acquaintance, Jacques, lay dead. The guards' investigation did not recover any other firearms from the scene. As a result, they concluded that the suspect's first shot must have missed. The suspect did not dispute this conclusion, and also declined to defend himself in court. Instead, he chose to... Callus was defeated by champion duelist Clarand in the ensuing duel. These are the known facts about...
The one with the motive to kill was Jacques, not my father. In truth, the third person shot Jacques first, and was shot in turn by my father when my father... After that, the true culprit turned the third person into water, erasing all traces of him from the scene. Thank you for the summary, Your Honor. Of course, the guard's conclusion... However, we should revisit the case now that we've gained new information about the abilities of water from the primordial...
On va tout essayer un par un. De toute façon, on trouve bien un truc bon.
This assassin first shot Jacques, then turned to shoot Callus, only for Callus to wrestle the gun from him and kill him instead. clothing was found at the scene. The guards once believed they were used by Jacques as a but now it is clear that the clothes were proof that there was a third person at the scene. Since it was raining that day, the culprit was confident that they could use the rain to wash away all traces of their The testimony of the victim's family confirms that Jacques had thoughts of assassinating Callus when, however, in the end he reconsidered and instead shared Unfortunately for Jacques, the true culprit had already considered this possibility. Realizing this, the true culprit caused the hired assassin to dissolve into water, leading everyone to believe Callus was
That's what happened. Wait, you're telling me something as dangerous as water from the primordial sea?
What a great theory. It also explains Callus's and Jacques' respective motives. I guess they didn't shoot each...
Mr. Marcel, you are the one being charged with the crime. You should provide a rebuttal if you wish to prove your...
Ah, but I think I agree with everything Navia just said. In fact, there was nothing in her speech that directly implicated me.
Then, may I ask some questions? In my opinion, we primarily need to determine two things. One, do you have the evidence to back up your claim?
I'm afraid not.
Boo! If you don't have any evidence, you should just...
I may not have the evidence with me, but I know where I could go to collect it. If we look up the deserted clothes against a record of people who... we should be able to find a match. Considering the serial disappearances case, the guards probably kept careful records of all missing persons from around...
That makes sense to me. Monsieur Neuvillette, I would consider this to be a reasonable investigative direction.
Why do I feel like Farina's acting a little differently today?
Maybe she's scared of embarrassing herself again?
Alternatively, she's become more diligent after charging an innocent citizen in the last trial.
My second question has to do with the ensuing duel. If the truth is indeed as you... then why didn't Mr. Callus explain himself in court? If he had testified that a person had been
I've thought about this too, and the answer is actually pretty simple. The dissolving power of water from the primordial sea is an important secret for the true culprit of the serial disappearances case. My father could have exposed it for all to see, but he chose to take it to the grave. At that time, Spina di Rosula was in dire straits, and his reputation had already been shattered. He had no guarantee that what was certain, however, was that...
Boss once told me that Demoiselle had already been selected as the next target of the serial disappearance.
What? If the secret had gotten out, the culprit would have fought an all-out war with Espina right there and then. I wouldn't have been the only one in danger. Of course, the guards might eventually figure out the truth of the matter, but what good would that do? How can a hollow verdict protect... Had this opera house ever given my father any kind of confidence in its brand of... But by staying silent, we retain the ability to deter our opponents and continue the stalemate. I was able to become Spina di Rosula's president, which made me harder to target, as well as giving me more time to grow it. And once I have figured out the truth and stepped up to the challenge, I will do what this opera house cannot.
So, you mean to say, your father intended to...
That's right.
Do you have any proof?
Of course. All you need is to ask his opponent. I don't need your apology, your guilt, or your support from the shadows. But since he entrusted his will to you, Clarand, you should tell us the truth about...
So, during the duel, did you...
Yes, I did. As a champion duelist, I fought many battles, and taken a countless number of dishonored lives. In my line of work, I've seen all kinds of people give their all for the faintest hope to continue living. Some were determined. Just one look and I can tell if a duelist is hoping to live, or if they're looking to die. I hereby swear on my name and honor as a champion duelist that Mr. Callus never intended...
Since that's your testimony, I have no more questions.
I concur. However, Miss Navia, you still have not explained the link between your father's case and the serial...
Right? What she said was fascinating, but...
Wait, weren't they just talking about the serial disappearances case? Of course, Your Honor. The two cases are connected via a matter of timing. In my father's case, the culprit intended to kill both Jacques and Callus. And at the end of Linny's trial, the culprit also only dissolved the victim in front of everyone because they realized they were at... The culprit could only time their actions so precisely if they were... Coincidentally, Marcel attended both the banquet and the trial.
So that's why you suspected me. Even after hearing your reasoning, I still can't help but find it a little preposterous. I'm used to it, though. You've always been an impulsive and sentimental child, Navia. It's one of your most endearing traits.
No need to appeal to pathos.
I won't try to refute your points one by one, but even if everything you just said was true, can you prove that I was the only person present at both events? On top of that, does a person have to be physically present to control the timing? Can't someone remotely monitor the place?
Don't know what she can say to that.
I know that even with that, you might still think you can reduce the list of suspects with some further investigations, until I'm the only one left on the list. Alas, who won't feel at least a little hurt by an accusation of murder from a girl you see as your own daughter? But if I were to dismiss this completely, you'd also think I'm not being considerate of your feelings. How? Do you know what the biggest flaw in your reasoning is?
I suppose you're gonna tell me anyway.
It's timing again. I'm a businessman by trade. From that standpoint, there's no reason for me to kidnap young women. It's a high-risk action. In addition, I left my home in Snezhnaya when I was young to come to Poisson and work in some trade. My business only thrived when But the disappearances began before I ever stepped foot in Fontaine.
I do apologize, Demoiselle. This was my mistake.
No, it's not your fault. I'm sure he had come prepared.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to check the date of my first business license against the first known? You can also take a look at my border entry records, or ask my friends and family could those records and testimonies do something to appease the unspeakable?
Seems like she got the wrong guy.
At this rate, Navia will be convicted for falsely accusing him.
I think you've done a superb job of dissecting your father's feelings as he neared the end of his life. But aren't you going against all of his wishes and expectations right now? He wished for you to become more rational, collected, and conscientious. Instead, once you've learned to be more considerate of others' feelings, and to stop rushing headlong into things, you'd have met most of his expectations.
This isn't just about me, and it never has been. The biggest difference between me and the rest of the victims is that I still have the ability to search for the truth. The people whose families were destroyed by synth abuse, the people who lost their loved ones to the serial disappearances, and the people who suffered. Many people's images are flashing before my eyes. I'm sure. And whose image do you see, Marcel? Is it a man named Vacher?
Huh.
Oh, so you do know that name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say the name of someone I've never even heard of.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Qui est ce fameux Vacher? Nous le saurons, pas tout de suite, en tout cas. On va prendre la team nomade. Oh. Faut les soigner. J'ai plus beaucoup de bouffe, hein, faudra que je refasse. Hein.
Unsightly insects. Squall and fury. How amusing. You're dead.
Ils ont fini de m'agresser comme ça. Ah oui, ça.
The water level is rising. Now we can swim to the top. But this is still a ways away from where we need to go. Huh. Dare to mess with flag fly and step. Huh? Let's light it up. Truth repeats itself. Teamwork is dream. Behold.
Wretched vermin!
Too late for regret. Strike is one. We go.
Squall and fury. Too slow.
Now the path is clear. Let's go.
Quit following me.
Mhm.
Dare to mess. Flags up. Observe. Huh? I'm going in. Gears of the storm.
Behold. Unsightly insects.
Flags fly. And leap. Your grand finale.
The wind rises.
Flags up. Adventure time.
Behold.
After all that, we though, as expected, the mastermind isn't here. That's That's right. Then let's hurry up and... What's all this? Pink accessories, a hair tie, a necklace, even a makeup box. Oh, Paimon sees it too, but why are all these cute things labeled? Huh? You mean the girls from the cereal, and then they were turned into all the boxes of things, these names.
Ok.
Let's see what's written here. Nothing escapes the... Callus. Navia's father. Oh, this seems to be an investigation report. Yep. It's about finding someone to assassinate Jacques and Callus. Because this should prove the existence of the third person, right? We still have not determined the exact content of the key information Callus has passed on to certain... The old dog's a real menace to deal with. Even he can act whenever he wants to make our lives miserable. I concur. Let's send someone to kill him. Oh, seems like we've got a bunch of correspondence between the higher-ups. They're all just so evil.
Ok.
Whoa. There's so much synth here. And so many bottles of ingredients that probably just contain the waters of... Mixing in progress. Whoa! There's even fruit-flavored synth? Yep, it's soup. What's this over here? Looks like some kind of place for Experiment number 16 aims to verify Jacob Ingold's research conclusions on the primordial... The experiment was a failure. No individual managed to resurface from the water in the primordial sea. Female specimens 22.
Des idées d'expérience sur elle, du coup.
Traveler, Paimon will try her best. It's just... How can someone write something that terrible in such a matter of... You read the rest. Paimon's too scared to keep going. So that's why he did it. Wait, did he really think he'd be able to find a way just by dissolving people over and over? That's just insane! Huh? Isn't that the name you heard by the fountain? Paimon thought he was an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. You mean Vache is the one who did all of these... experiments? So that's it! Vache... No, that's not it either! If that's the case, why would he want people to resurface from the water? In any case...
Ah non, à mon avis, il cherche un moyen de faire réémerger les gens de l'eau pour sauver sa sœur. Enfin, sa sœur ou sa femme, on ne sait pas. Intéressant.
Oh, look! There's an important-looking basin over here, and it's full of water! That means this is where they make all the synth! If you dilute it with normal water, you'll get synth, but the pure stuff can dissolve a human! Paimon will take notes on this. We've looked at almost everything here, and it seems like our theories were spot on. Yeah, we haven't found anything that reveals this. No wonder even Nervalette wasn't able to find anything. Whoever it is, probably that way. Even if we bring all this back to the opera, we won't be... Sure thing. Paimon will...
Ok, bah... Trouver des indices sur Vache.
You take that side, and Paimon will take this side. Check everything... Nothing at all. And Paimon can't even find snacks either. Whoa, really? his lover's name? Then you found her dead? Aw. It's just a normal diary chronicling their love story. So many! A whole page's worth! But they're all crossed out. The final name she decided on was Marcel. Wait, but Marcel's pretty old. Has this case been going on for so long that he's Vacher?
Donc Marcel c'est Vacher, si je comprends bien. Ou alors Marcel c'est quelque chose sur Vacher. Oh là là. C'est compliqué.
Is it a man named Vacher?
Huh.
Oh, so you...
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly...
I was waiting for...
Navia! We're back!
As expected of my partner.
Just how often do you intend to flaunt the rules of this?
It's all right, Monsieur Nervalette. Given their confidence, I expect they found the...
But the truth of it, Marcel, is that you've always been Vacher.
Huh?
We've investigated your lair. We already know everything. After your lover, Venier, was dissolved, you kept abducting young women to experiment on the hopes of bringing her back to you. You even created Marcel as a new identity and destroyed all records of your past as Vacher.
So that's it. Even the villains in opera performances and with that, Marcel's motive has this information regarding your past also dismantles your prior timing defense. Well, Marcel, do you know where you went wrong? You fixated your gaze on the lover that passed away, instead of paying attention to the living people around. So, you never noticed how we changed, or how we grew as it...
You also never understood Boss's real expectations for his daughter.
Or our determination to see things through.
Your determination.
Mr. Marcel, please speak up now if you would like to defend yourself. Otherwise, the trial...
Do you really think I wanted to do any of this? Pay attention
Il tutoie Neuvillette.
What for? Have you ever paid attention to me? Ever empathized with my pain? Ever known how no one helped me? No one even believed me. All those decades ago, they said there's no way a human being can turn into water. So I must have gone mad from grief. Vinier's death was brushed away by... Well, now you know, don't you? Ha! But you only have yourselves to blame. You set up this ornate opera house in pursuit of your soul. Vinier is dead. We promised each other that we would always be together. Wherever she goes, I will fight. But I'm not from this blasted place. So I can't be dissolved.
Hey, is that water from the primordial sea that he's drinking?
I can't dissolve. Can't dissolve. Do you all see? I can't go. I can't follow. So I did all of that. And in the end, that accursed Callus still got the better of me. I spent my entire life living on pins and needles, only to get stabbed by his idiot.
The suspect is exhibiting signs of mental distress. Guards, please restrain him.
Don't touch me! Don't anybody come near me! Vinier, please, Vinier. Don't think badly of...
At this point, the verdict of this trial is clear. With Mr. Marcel's conviction, the charges against...
Fine by me. I was in a bad mood, but after a show like that...
Traveler, please submit all the evidence you have collected to the guards, so that I might review and summarize the truth behind the serial The man now known as Marcel was originally named Vacher, and worked as an adventurer with his partner and lover, Vinier. During an underwater expedition, Vinier accidentally came into contact with water from the primordial sea, and was dissolved in front. Vacher learned of the primordial water's existence through the work of others, and began to kidnap young women for research. To cover his tracks, he invented the new alias of Marcel and began to operate a business in Poisson. During the course of his research, Vacher discovered that a diluted concoction of water from the primordial sea can induce feelings of euphoria. However, as he accumulated wealth to fund his continued research and expanded the scope, he came into conflict with Spina. After exchanging blows with Spina de Rasula for many years, Vacher decided to assassinate. Although the assassination did not go as Vacher expected, he was able to turn Callus into them. And just recently, Vacher attempted to frame Linny as the culprit of the serial disappearances case. However, his attempt to frame Linny failed, and the power of water from the primordial sea became public knowledge. This case also exposed. Thus concludes the enigmatic history of the serial disappearances.
Bravo.
The Oratrice will now deliver the final verdict regarding the charges against Mr. Vacher.
Attention, ça fait penser aux invocations dans Quête, pareil là. Attention, que va nous dire la machine?
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal, guilty.
Coupable.
Guards! Take Vacher away.
Good. It's what he deserves.
With that, the serial disappearance is...
We really just witnessed history. Who would have thought the true culprit would be such a polite and...
Yippee! We helped Navia bring the... He's hurt so many innocent people and now he's finally getting what he deserves. Huh? Are you okay?
Demoiselle, you were absolutely brilliant.
The day our late boss had always hoped for has finally come.
Yeah. Yeah. It's finally over. See, Papa? Spina di Rosula.
Well now, hasn't this been a most delicious piece of drama? The villain has been caught, justice has been served. Since it's been such a great show, I'll just let the false accusations against me slide. Either way, I've still got...
Please wait just one moment, Mr. Tartaglia.
What now? Not...
According to court protocol, since this trial was initiated due to a charge against you, a verdict must also be made regarding the initial charge before...
Oh, come on. Is this really necessary? Haven't you already caught the real criminal? Isn't it time for...
Please respect the laws of Fontaine.
All right, but this sure is a lot of hassle.
Through evidence presented in the public trial that was just held, it has been established that the guilty party has been identified, and thus it is logical to suppose Mr. Tartaglia is innocent. We now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse.
Oh, c'est pas possible. Ils sont chiants que leur machine.
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal, guilty.
Coupable? Hein?
What?
Hey! That's not funny! Didn't you just say I'm supposed to be innocent? What's with this verdict? Is your justice machine malfunctioning?
Huh? This has never happened before. The Oratrice...
I mean, have you ever heard of an innocent Fatui Harbinger? Do you think...
But weren't the charges about the serial disappearances case? No matter what else he's guilty of, it shouldn't affect the verdict in this case, right?
The judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal is, by law, the final verdict of the court. We must... Guards, please take the suspect into custody.
Va pas se laisser faire.
So this is how justice is done in Fontaine. What a joke. You've got your rules. Well, I've got mine too!
I am sorry. If you have been wronged, we will find the truth. But the rules of the court must be upheld.
Wow.
Hey, Monsieur Novelette, what's going on?
Apologies. This is also the first time I've encountered such a situation. However, according to the rules established at the conception of Fontaine's court system, all I do is follow court procedure. As for why the Oratrice arrived at the conclusion it did, you should probably ask someone more knowledgeable than
Oui, l'Archon, madame, aidez-nous. Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
I had nothing to do with it. I don't know what happened there either.
What does Lady Farina mean by that?
She says she has no idea either, but that's impossible.
Yeah, so are the verdicts reliable or not? Can results like this really be called justice?
My dearest citizens, did you really think we'd allow an incorrect verdict to be handed out in the... Don't tell me. You thought even I had been blindsided by the...
But the way she looked just now, it was pretty obvious she had...
However, given the state of things, I shall give you an explanation. Everything that just took place, and of course, for every performance there is a script. Everything has unfolded. If you thought Child had nothing to do with the serial disappearances case, it is only because you've been blinded by the everything he's done, not to mention the danger he poses, are beyond. All shall be revealed in time. You will come to understand. Now, having said that, although I hate to leave things hanging in suspense, it is now time for this performance to end.
So she chose to make her escape after all, did she?
So you're saying we shouldn't put much stock into what she just said?
She probably just put on that performance to save face. As for the truth, it's unlikely that she actually has any idea. However, please be assured that I will continue to investigate this case in a personal capacity. Just as I promised, if the judgment has been incorrect, we will do...
All right. Even though we feel... After all, he's done plenty of bad stuff.
C'est étrange tout ça quand même. Ça n'a pas beaucoup de sens.
Hey, what are you doing? Quick, stop him!
Traveler! Hey! Traveler!
Marcel! What are you doing over here?
Stop resisting arrest! Cease, or we'll add another charge to the list.
No, wait! I just want to ask the Traveler something. I'm not looking to run away. Please, please, just let me ask this one small thing.
Go on.
Thank you. Thank you. I was being led away when I finally realized something. Where did you first hear the name Vacher?
La Fontaine, c'est elle nous a dit.
Records of that name.
Are you still trying to prove your innocence? Give it up. You've already been convicted.
Really? You did? You're sure? You met her? But how could that be? How did you manage the Fountain of Lucine? Then she... Please give me a chance to talk to her again. Just let the Traveler take me to the fountain to see her one last time.
What? Give an inch and you want to take a mile? Do you think serial killers get to make...
Paimon agrees. Why should we give him what he...
This request, is it worth as much to...
Of course! Wait, no. It's worth even more than my life.
Humans. Will they betray the instinct to live just to satisfy spiritual needs? Very well. I will grant your request.
Your Honor, I fear that...
I will go with him. You do not need to worry about any escape.
In that...
Thank you. Thank you.
Dis donc. Donc déjà Neuvillette qui vient de dire qu'il trouvait le raisonnement des humains étranges. Donc ce n'est pas un humain déjà, Neuvillette.
Is this the place? You said she's here, but what do I need to do to see her?
Yeah, and even Paimon could hear her after drinking that thing.
Vache!
Ah!
Yes, that's it. So you heard it.
Vinier, it's me! It's me, Vache!
Vache? Vache!
I'm here! I'm here! Where are you?
Hey, wait! Be careful!
Vinier, is that you? It's me, Vache!
Vache? Why did you come? You look a lot older than...
It's been more than 20 years. I've suffered all this time. Only the thought of bringing... I must be dreaming. Who would have thought I'd get the chance to tell you all? Vinier, you are my everything. I really don't know how I could live...
But Vache, if you ask me...
What are you saying?
If not for you, I would have finished my law degree and probably become a top-tier attorney one day. If not for you, I would have continued to pursue my love of the... If not for you, I would at least have been able to take care of my mother. And it's all because of your selfishness, Vache.
You... Wait, you are not Vinier. Who are you?
You're right. I am not Vinier. I am the sacrifices. Every woman who died by your hand, as our bodies dissolved, our consciousness, our thoughts circulated endlessly within the primordial sea. And we were no longer individual. I'm Cressy. I'm Lemony. I'm Azine. The only one I am not is...
Why? But then...
She doesn't want to see you anymore. Every tendril of her conscience... This is what you get for your selfishness. Your selfishness robbed us of our lives and our futures. You said, but did you ever consider whether she'd want to see you do the things that you did? If You are a liar, a heartless murderer. The only thing you are not is from the moment your first victim died and her consciousness merged with Vinier's, she has had nothing but pure hatred.
No! Yeah! She can't hate me.
You still don't understand. When I said don't look for me, but on top of that, she said that because she knew that if you did come here, we will show no mercy to you. Vache. Vache? Vache. 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 Vache.
Oula. Ça devient un jeu d'horreur là d'un coup. Ah, il est mort. Ah bah Vaché est mort. Ah, génial. Il a eu que ce qu'il méritait en tout cas. Bah dis donc. Il pleut encore.
Partner, I knew something great.
Even this weather can't put a damper on the demoiselle.
It's a pleasure to see you both again.
Oh, hey, Navia! It's been a few days.
Oh, now that I believe. I'm easy to work with and always bring home the bacon.
Sounds like you're really enjoying life these days, Navia.
It's just been one thing after the other. I've been making non-stop trips between Poisson and the courts in Sen. Everyone from Spina di Rosula organized a memorial for my father. We never held a memorial when he first died, since everyone knew this time, though. Everyone in Poisson, and even many people...
So his name's definitely been cleared now.
It's been the dearest wish of Demoiselle all along.
That blasted stubborn fool. I was right to put my faith in him. Oh, by the way, I ran into Charlotte just after I left the memorial service. Well, maybe it'd be more accurate to say I knew she would be there.
Huh? So you know Charlotte too?
Yeah. Way back when I first became the president of the Spina di Rosula, I believe the story was called The True Heart of... To be fair, though, it was a really flattering feature. She was trying to lean on our friendship to get me to do an exclusive piece on the serial...
Oh yeah, she told us about that. She's always been super...
Anyway, I told her to make sure that when she writes about you guys entering...
Now that's another thing to look forward to.
Oh, and in other news, I also took Clarand out for a meal.
Oh, are you two on better terms now?
While you were investigating Vashey's headquarters, it was thanks to her that we were able to turn the tide. I wanted to thank her. I mean, there's also no point in being awkward.
Oh, that's great. Paimon also thought Clarand wasn't...
Anyway, now that the case has finally been solved, perhaps it will slowly begin to fade from the public consciousness. Oh, actually, there's still one last thing I need to...
What is it?
I should pay a visit to my father's grave and tell him the truth of what happened. And on top of that, just how much people still look up to... That includes me.
Miss Navia.
Indeed.
We want to go too!
Sure thing. I'd like you two to share the moment with me. After...
And in that case, everyone, let's be off. Considering the recent weather...
Yeah, you're right. This is where my father's grave is.
Huh? There's someone there already. Wait. That figure. Isn't that Nervalette? Why would the Chief Justice be here? Huh? Navia?
My apologies. I should have asked before coming to pay my respect.
Don't say that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I was trying to say there's no need for you to... I wanted to show my father how much I've grown. But still, I doubt I've grown to the point that even the Chief Justice would...
In that case, I will stop apologizing for now.
You really could use some pointers on understanding human emotions, Monsieur Nervalette. In any case, why did you come to Poisson?
Well, ever since that day, I've been turning a question over and over in my... There was once a time when I didn't want to believe that there could be anything more important to No, rather than that, it's probably more truthful to say I didn't believe humans were capable of resisting the most basic instinct of living things. Which is also why I didn't stop your father from beginning that fateful duel. I believed that a truly innocent man would never throw away his life like that. But Mr. Callus proved me utterly, and if not for his sacrifice, the serial disappearances case would have remained unsolved to this day. Mr. Callus made the choice he did for his daughter, and in the end, from a certain perspective, one a justice that's higher than... So, you asked me why I came here. I just wanted to say my apologies to Mr. Callus in person. This regret has filled me with a sadness. That high and mighty chair in the Opera Epiclese indeed insulates one from many important things. Spina di Rosula, thank you so much for your heart.
I'm sorry. So, you're actually one of those types that's cold on the outside, but pretty thoughtful on the inside, huh?
Sorry about that.
Didn't I just say...
So Navia and Nervalette seem to... Let's not disturb them for now. We can wait till after they're... Paimon's never paid respects at someone's grave before. Huh? Oh, Paimon didn't know that was a thing? Oh, no. Paimon hopes Miss Navia... Anyway, Nervalette is still standing around there. It's not often that we can catch him alone like this, so...
Allons parler à Neuvillette.
Oh, it's you two. Did Miss Navia invite you to come pay your...
Mm-hmm. We ran into Navia on the streets today.
I see, I see.
Well, it's pretty hard to run into you like this, since you're usually super busy. So
Please feel free. Though outsiders, you helped us solve one of the greatest mysteries in Fontaine, and it would be...
So, at court, the bad guys referred to that special water as water from the primordial...
Truthfully, that name is already quite accurate. I can only surmise that Vache and his ilk only learned of its nature. There used to be a special sea on the surface of this planet. The nature of its seawater was rather different. Most of Tevat's life forms were first born in that special sea.
Huh. So it really was where everything began.
But today, the primordial sea no longer exists on the planet. What Vache discovered must have been some kind of special case.
Huh. So that's how it is. Oh, you really know everything, Monsieur Neuvillette.
Indeed. Why would the primordial sea, which was known to engender and nurture life, to be frank, that also doesn't match my understanding of this world and its laws. There must still be some Is there anything else you'd like to ask? That the sea levels will rise and everyone will be dissolved in water, leaving Farina crying alone on her throne, but the sins of the people will be finally... Does that appropriately summarize?
That's right! It was Lenny that
Yes, up to the present, I think we reached a point where we have no... Rumors have it that this prophecy is rooted in the last words, the former Hydra...
A prophecy? Of the former Hydra?
2 parts of the prophecy have already proven correct. The rising sea levels, and the ability of the people of Fontaine to be dissolved. We should... Speaking of the prophecy, Farina has also always taken it quite seriously. Indeed, she has been collecting If the rumors were true, then perhaps this prophecy is the conundrum.
But with Farina being the way she is, can we...
Is there anything else you'd like to ask me about? My apologies. My investigation has still not reached its... However, I still believe the judgment of the Oratrice was...
But you also...
For many years, I have been quite aware that the Oratrice does not simply mechanically repeat. As a divinely created mechanism, the people's unified faith in that not only can it produce the incredible power of indemnitium, but it likely also... Which is all to say, I've been prepared...
So when Lenny told us that he heard a human voice from the...
I was not aware such a thing had occurred. Perhaps that could serve to prove my conjecture. I will add that to the list of items to investigate.
Donc ce serait Tartaglia qui aurait parlé à Neuvillette.
In any case, I am inclined to believe that the Oratrice does have a methodology all its own. Based on Farina's reaction, I doubt even she had any idea what was going on. She managed to... While we do intend to get to the bottom of this, for now, we regret to say that the Fatui Harbinger... If we did incorrectly convict him of crimes he did not commit, we will most...
If you ask Paimon, the only compensation he'll want is a no-hold...
Is there anything else you'd like to ask me about? Your sibling, another blonde-haired traveler. If she ever stepped foot in Fontaine, I'm sure she followed our laws to the letter, and had no reason to appear on the stage of the opera Epiclese. Is there anything else you'd like to ask? Very well. It was my honor to provide you with... It will soon be time for me to leave this blissful tranquility behind.
You really are super busy, Monsieur Neuvillette. Paimon thought you only came here to pay your respects today because...
Crime and villainy do not have the day off, and so justice must work...
All right. Huh? Paimon just noticed that the rain has stopped.
Ok, ça se termine comme ça. On a plein de quêtes. Ok. Ouais, on va aller par la Catherine vite fait, puis on va s'arrêter là. Bonjour Catherine. Et donc j'ai débloqué des missions quotidiennes à Fontaine. Bah, j'ai l'actif, comme ça voilà. Ça fera des nouvelles missions quotidiennes. Ça sera cool. Voilà, donc on a encore plein de trucs. Bon, il y a encore des quêtes. Les quêtes, je sais pas si je les ferai en live toutes. Je les ferai peut-être en live, mais les quêtes de monde, je ne les lirai pas en entière. Hein. Je les ai jamais lues en entière, donc voilà, je les lirai juste de temps en temps, comme ça. Ok, donc il y a un dernier truc à vérifier, c'est les quêtes de réputation. Est-ce que j'y ai accès? Bon, je les ferai pas ce soir, mais juste pour savoir si je peux commencer ou pas. Ah voilà, on y a accès. Steak tartare. Ah, des recettes bien françaises. Les ailes, déclare de trésor hydro, pierre de résonance hydrocus, poularda en vas-y, ok. Trio fruité, des meubles et tout, ok. Ouais, donc ouais, je peux pas encore les faire, il faut d'abord que je fasse des quêtes, que je finisse l'exploration. Ok, il va falloir passer au niveau 2 en réputation. Ok, bah on fera tout ça, écoute. Voilà. Donc il nous reste un événement à faire. Donc il y a cet événement à faire qu'on n'a pas, que j'ai pas encore fait. Je le ferai sûrement samedi lors du prochain live. Et voilà. Donc voilà, merci d'avoir regardé le live ou d'avoir regardé la rediff. Voilà. Moi j'ai adoré cette quête d'Archon, elle était superbe, très intéressante. Voilà. C'est très rare que lors d'une quête d'Archon je ne m'ennuie pas, mais je me suis pas ennuyé une seule fois. C'était très intéressant tout le temps, tout le long. Il y avait plein de rebondissements, plein de trucs que je m'y attendais pas du tout. Vas-y, je vais lui donner ça. Il y a plein de trucs que je ne m'y attendais pas du tout. Voilà. Et puis voilà. Donc du coup, moi de mon côté, je vais continuer à farm pour monter l'inei de niveau. Voilà. Donc qu'est-ce qu'il me reste à farm? Je dois encore farm quelques boss. Les fleurs bien sûr à farm. Et il me reste encore les livres à farm aussi, mais bon ça je le ferai quand ils seront redisponibles, c'est-à-dire dimanche. Et son arme aussi, c'est de voir comment on fait, parce que je lui ai mis cette arme là pour l'instant, mais c'est pas la meilleure, parce qu'il faut faire des attaques chargées, dans des attaques chargées dans la tête. c'est pas ouf. Voilà, tirer dans la tête des ennemis. C'est pas facile. Donc voilà. Apparemment son arme ce serait l'arme craftable à Sumeru, mais je sais pas encore comment on fait pour l'avoir. Donc j'essaierai de me renseigner de mon côté. Voilà. Et ensuite il y a les artefacts. Pour l'instant j'ai mis ce set là. Mais voilà, je vais pas lui laisser ça, je vais lui mettre un full set de la maréchaussée là. J'ai plus le nom. Ils sont où ces artefacts? Ils sont là je crois. Ouais. Voilà, chasseur de la maréchaussée, c'est ça. Donc je vais mettre un full set chasseur de la maréchaussée et puis voilà. Et une fois que j'aurai terminé de farmer pour les nails, je commencerai à farmer pour Zangli tout simplement parce que je compte le pool quand il va arriver. Voilà, et ben c'est tout pour ce live, merci d'avoir regardé le live et on se retrouve samedi du coup, voilà je vais faire une petite pause, demain pas de live, mais normalement samedi où on fera l'événement et on fera un peu d'exploration et tout ça, voilà, on fera peut-être des quêtes, on fera pas la quête de l'inné tout de suite, ça c'est sûr, on attendra un peu avant de faire une grosse quête, parce que la quête d'Archon elle a duré un petit moment quand même, voilà. Donc voilà, merci d'avoir regardé le live et puis à plus.